everyone. My name is Ankit and you're watching the Indian Express analysis for 5th of February. Now, today we have important articles that we are going to discuss like we do every day. And in addition to important analysis, we also give you important MCQs as well as mains answer writing questions so as to inculcate the habit of answer writing on a daily basis. So let us start our today's discussion for 5th of February. Now, as I've told you, there were many articles that we missed out on, especially during the time when we were discussing economic survey and the budget. So everything will be covered gradually as I've done yesterday and I will continue doing so today also. So please make sure that everything will be completed very peacefully. That in Hindi people say सब कुछ शांतिपूर्वक तरीके से होगा. Understood? Now, like every day, the notes for this session will be available on the Telegram channel. We are going to discuss 6 important articles which I have taken up from today's as well as yesterday's newspaper, because while covering the previous pending articles, we missed out on some articles that were also important in yesterday's newspaper, and we are going to cover that today onwards. The first article actually appeared in today's newspaper in the explain section, and it states that the Monetary Policy Committee of the RBI, it is going to have a meet, and in its meet, it is likely that the RBI will cut the policy rate, also known as repo rate. Now, questions from RBI's attempts at monetary policy and its effect on India's banking, they are asked frequently in the prelims examination. So that is why such kind of an article and its related concepts are very important from UPSC prelims point of view. And it is also important from GS paper 3 perspective, because this paper deals with the subject of economy, and the monetary policy is a part of economy syllabus. Following that article, we will also discuss attempts by SEBI to liberalize the algo trading. Now, what is algo trading? How it can impact retail investors after they are allowed to invest and invest their money through algo trading. We'll understand this. Now, these kind of articles which are relevant from India's financial markets are concerned, they are subject of UPSC's question in the past few years. Particularly from the 2020 onwards, since the time pandemic struck India, and people of India, they started looking to invest their hard-earned money into India's finance markets and stock markets. So on that logic, the UPSC has also started to ask such questions. So that is why this development related to algo trading, which is a part of economy syllabus, becomes important for our prelims also. And this is given also in today's newspaper. Then we will be covering 3 important articles from yesterday's newspaper, that is 3rd, 4th and 5th. First deals with extra long staple of cotton, and as in her budget speech, Madam Finance Minister announced some kind of a policy measure to promote growth and cultivation of extra long staple of cotton, which is only grown in some of the areas in India rather than it is grown mostly abroad. So as to meet the demands for extra long staple of cotton right now, India has to import these cottons from other countries. So that is why government is looking to promote the cultivation of this kind of cotton, and how it will impact India's market. We will understand this in our today's discussion. All of this is also important from GS paper 3 perspective, also minutely from GS paper 1, that is geography perspective. Also we'll be dealing with the US aid, as this body, the funds that this body gives out to other countries, it has been paused for 90 days by the new US President Donald Trump. So we'll understand the role this body has played in international financing and supporting the growth of developing country, and also what kind of an impact this body had on India. We will understand this. Now, such kind of developmental aid bodies or multilateral financing bodies, these are important from IR perspective, hence they are a part of GS paper 2 syllabus. Then we'll be understanding how the global space players, they monitor the asteroids, as these asteroids, they have a potential to strike Earth and create havoc. As we understand, there was this asteroid that struck Earth and it wiped out the entire population of dinosaurs many million years ago. So such similar events, if it were to happen in today's time, what are the preventive measures that the space agencies can take to prevent such asteroids from crashing into Earth? That is the subject of this particular article, which also appeared in yesterday's newspaper. So we'll try to understand this. While we'll conclude our today's article by understanding India and why it is trying to become a global manufacturer of small modular reactors. Now, these are type of nuclear reactors that play a key role in power generation for our country and also for other countries as well. So this kind of a development, that once India becomes a global manufacturer of small modular reactors, it can not just meet the needs of its domestic energy requirement, but it can also deploy such reactors in other countries so as to help them generate power from a clean source, that is nuclear energy. So this kind of an article is important primarily from IR perspective and also deals minutely from the subjects like polity and science and technology. So that is why we are going to understand this article in detail. Now, as I told you, every day the notes for this session will be available on my Telegram channel called ATS Live. So please search the keywords ATS Live on the right hand top corner of the search button using the Telegram app. And also, if you are not able to find the channel, you always have an option to search this particular QR code. Understood? Now, let us go into the yesterday's question that I had given. Now, good morning, Augustine. Good morning, Saujanya. Yes, voice too low, sir. No sound, sir. Let me check the voice again. Hello?
Hello.
Hello. Is the voice coming right now? Wait a minute, I'll do something over here. Voice बहुत कम आ रही है. हाँ, नीचे से. Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello. Hello. Is the voice okay right now? Hello. Hmm. Hello. Hello. Wait a minute. Please be online. I will do something about it. Hello. 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 Now I guess the sound must be okay. Now as I was saying, इसमें चेक करके तो बताओ सही आ रहा है. इसमें चेक करो, साउंड देकर प्ले करो. एक मिनट मैं चेक कर लेता हूँ, रुको. सही है. Yeah, I cross-checked in my phone. The sound is coming okay right now. Now, let us discuss our yesterday's question. With the following countries share the land border with Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, we studied the conflict that is going on DRC and how or which of the countries are located on the borders of Congo. We'll understand this today. Now, if you can see from this map, there are 9 countries that border Democratic Republic of Congo. However, if you look closely into the map, Sudan here does not share its border with DRC, and so does not Kenya. So both of these countries, they do not share borders with DRC, whereas rest 9 of these countries, Angola, the Republic of Congo, Central African Republic, South Sudan, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, Malawi, and Zambia, they share boundary with DRC. So from our question, we can safely eliminate Kenya here and Sudan here as they do not share boundary with DRC. CAR, Zambia and Uganda does. 1, 3 and 5 is correct. Therefore, option A is the right answer. Now, Ritu, Good morning, Saujanya. Good morning, Ritu. I'm assuming the voice is fine right now. Yes. So moving again to our article. Now this question will be taking up before the end of today's session. It deals with India's attempt in global manufacturing value chain of small modular reactors with key institutional and policy enablers. So first we'll have to understand or make or write in the answer what are the key enablers that has enabled India to become a global participant in the value chain of small modular reactors. Also, we have to discuss the significance of SMRs in India's clean energy transition and diplomacy efforts, and all of this we have to write in 250 words. So please stay tuned to our discussion. We will be discussing this in the end of our today's session, how to attempt this answer after understanding the various important aspects given in today's news article. Now, let us quickly move with our today's discussion as the time I have taken too long to set up this session. The first article, this appeared in the explain section of the Indian Express, which today is on 21st page. Now, this article states that the RBI, which is likely to hold its monetary policy meeting from 5th to 7th of February, it is likely to cut the repo rates, which is also the policy rate. So this is the context of today's article. Now this cut, if it were to happen this time, it will be taken place after nearly 5 years, because during the time of COVID pandemic, as government relaxed many of the relaxations, it resulted into increase in inflation, and as a result RBI increased its policy rates during COVID-19 pandemic and years into following by 250 basis points, that is by 2.5%. But now there are demands from many sections of the society, especially after the union budget, that RBI needs to reduce its policy rate in order to promote growth or economic growth in the country. Understood? So this is the context of today's article, and which body in RBI is responsible for cutting the policy rates or repo rate? It is the Monetary Policy Committee, the meeting of which is going to happen. Now, let us first try to understand the various composition of Monetary Policy Committee. Monetary Policy Committee was formed by amending or bringing section 45 ZB into the RBI Act of 1934, and this amendment, it allowed RBI to form a 6-member Monetary Policy Committee. Now this policy committee actually meets in 2 months every year, and every year in every 2 months when it meets, it decides whether to stay or keep the repo rates intact, whether to increase it or whether to reduce it. Now the composition of this committee, it includes chairperson, who is actually the governor of RBI. It also includes a deputy governor of RBI who is in charge of monetary policy, and an officer of RBI who is nominated by the central board of RBI. So there are 3 members from RBI in this monetary policy committee, plus another 3 members who are nominated by the government of India. These are financial experts who are nominated by central government. So that is why it constitutes into 6-member monetary policy committee with equal representation from RBI and from the government. Now the MPC, or the Monetary Policy Committee, determines the policy repo rate, which is required primarily. The primary objective of MPC is to keep the inflation target at the price band of 4 plus minus 2%, which means the CPI, which is the measure of headline inflation in India, it has to be kept between the band of 2% to 6%. Understood? So this is the mandate which is statutorily given to the RBI, that it has to control the inflation from going beyond 6%. Now, to meet or to control the inflation, this RBI, according to the law, it is required to meet at least 4 times every year. So this is the minimum requirement, that RBI Monetary Policy Committee should at least meet 4 times every year. However, in actual practice, we have seen that RBI's Monetary Policy Committee meets once every 2 months. Understood? Now, the quorum for this meeting is actually 4 members. So out of 6 members, even if 4 members are present, the Monetary Policy Committee can meet. Now each member of the MPC, they have 1 vote, and in case there is a tie in voting, then the RBI governor has the casting vote. So in case there are 2 and 2 members who want to not change the monetary policy rate, or even 3 and 3 on one side, so in that case, whatever RBI governor decides, the changes in monetary policy happens according to RBI governor wishes. But we have to understand, this is only when there is a tie in votes. Otherwise, the decision will be taken by a majority of votes. Now, each member of the Monetary Policy Committee, they write a statement or they give in writing what kind of policy measure they are advocating and what are the reasons for their advocating of a particular policy measure. Understood? So this is the basic details of Monetary Policy Committee. Now, why is actually RBI is expected to reduce the repo rate right now? Now you understood once basis on our discussion of union budget, that union budget announced various kind of measures such as cutting in personal taxes, and also it revised the limit of tax deduction at source. The intention of this was to increase the money supply in the economy and also increase the disposable income that people have. Now, what does government want to do by increasing the disposable income? Naturally, whenever people will have increased income with themselves, they will buy goods and services from the market. That leads to increase in demand in the market. And with increase in demand, you understand the companies will look to produce more amount of goods and services, and that will lead to increased economic growth in the country. So this is how consumption demand can actually fuel economic growth, and this is what the government wanted to do by cutting down the income tax rate and also allowing or increasing the limits of TDS. So this is how the government is looking to promote the economic growth, and so it is required from the RBI to do everything in its power to promote growth in the country. So retail inflation also is now at a comfortable level. Earlier it was very close to 6%, now it has fallen down to 5.22%. So that is why even from an inflation perspective, there is a scope for RBI to actually cut down the interest rates so that the growth prospects now can fulfilled in the Indian economy. Now, what is expected from RBI's upcoming monetary policy? Now, last week RBI has announced 3 measures to improve liquidity in the banking system, which we understood in our sessions also. It was forex swap, it was undertaking open market operations, and it was allowing the banks to borrow money using the variable repo rate, which is less than repo rate. Sorry, which is less than, it should be opposite from here, which is less than repo rate. So when VRR is less than repo rate, or when RBI purchases the government security, all the intention is to increase the money supply in the economy and also increase the liquidity with the banks. And what happens when there is an increase in liquidity or increase in money supply in the economy? The banks will extend more loans and people will use these loans to buy goods and services, to invest in their factories, ultimately all of which will lead to increase in growth. So these are the measures that RBI had taken previously. So it is also expected that RBI will now also reduce the repo rate in the country. Understood? Now, what happens to the lending rates in case RBI reduces the repo rate? Now, if RBI reduces the repo rate from 6.5 currently to 6.25%, you understand all the loans which the banks extend, they will become cheaper. So when the loans they become cheaper, people will get more loans from the banks and they will use it to establish new factories, undertake capital expenditure, spend that in their consumption requirements, all of which will fuel economic growth. So in case of borrowers also, their loans will become cheaper. So that is why the outgo of money that they have to pay using their EMI, that will also reduce. So people again will take more loan, and also the rates of interest on loans will be reduced. So that is why it just not will promote the growth in the economy, but it will also make loans cheaper for people, reducing the amount of money that they have to spend on their EMIs for the loans. Understood? So this is how such kind of policy measures trickle down to everyone. Now, good morning, Baga Spinks. Good to see you, although you joined late. How is everyone doing? I'm assuming everyone is fine right now. Actually, today in Delhi, the election is going on, so our center for students is closed. We are just here for recording and live telecast purposes, right? Now let us try to solve the practice question. With reference to Monetary Policy Committee, consider the following statements. The MPC determines policy rate with a primary objective to achieve growth target. Although I've told you that RBI is going to reduce repo rate so as to promote economic growth, but RBI's primary objective is not to promote growth, but rather to control inflation in the economy. So as we understood, the inflation now is controlled. That is why the RBI now going to pursue the target of growth. So therefore, first statement here is incorrect, because primary goal of RBI, please remember it, is to control inflation. Second, it consists of 6 members, 3 of which are appointed by the central government. Second statement is right. The MPC is required to meet at least once in every 2 months. Now this is incorrect. I told you, right, according to the law, they are required to meet at least 4 times in a year. However, in practice, they meet once every 2 months. So they are required to meet at least 4 times in a year. Understood? So that is why third statement incorrect. First also is incorrect, whereas only second was correct. We had to identify correct statement. Only one here is the right answer. No problem, Baga Spinks. We'll do better from tomorrow. I am expecting exactly the same from you. Now, moving on to the second article. This article actually appeared in the business section of the Indian Express, which is on page 19 today, and it states that SEBI, it is tightening the algo trading norms so as to make the participation in retail markets much more protected for retail investors. So, in our today's discussion, we'll understand what is actually the algo trading. Understood. Now, the context of this article: earlier, the use of algo trading, which is a kind of a computer program that enables quick trading in the stock markets, it was only extended to primary or institutional investors. But right now, few months back, the RBI decided to extend this facility even to retail investors like you and I. So regarding that, the SEBI has released a regulatory framework so that the investors who are investing using the algo trading, their investments remain safe. And they also have regulated the use of application programming interfaces, most simply the apps that people use to participate or to trade in stock markets, so that the algo trading, it is responsible, and it also fixes responsibilities for stockbrokers and exchanges in this regard. So the overall intention of RBI is to allow participation of retail participants in the algo trading and also to make it safer for retail participants. Now in this discussion, let us try to first of all understand what is the algo trading actually is all about. Now algo trading, it refers to orders which are generated on an automated basis. Now how do you participate or undertake trade in stock market? You have two options. You either use your mobile phone to log in into the app and feed the data yourself, so that if you want to purchase any stock or if you want to sell any stock. Or rather, you also have an option to call your stockbroker and instruct him so as to buy or sell any kind of a stock. Now, as against this particular piece of way that we can use to buy stocks, we can also use algo platforms, which are actually an automated platform. That once we can program that code so that it can sell once a particular price point is achieved, and once a particular price point is achieved, it can also buy the stock. So these are done through automated or through programming. And such kind of a trading, they actually have very different kind of advantages, because we understand the prices of various stocks in the stock market, they change rapidly. So as to gain the maximum amount of profit or to prevent the losses from happening, you need quick execution of your trade orders, and for that algo trading is a perfect instrument. So instead of putting the data yourself or calling your stockbrokers, you can use a computer program to do the trading on your behalf. Now, this facility of algo trading at present is available only to institutional investors who have a direct market access facility. Now, direct market access facility actually is the facility where the data from stock exchanges, they are fed directly to the investors, and once the data is fed directly to the servers of the investors, they can quickly execute the data based just by the fact that the data is available to them at a very low lag. However, when you are accessing different kind of platforms to buy and sell stocks, there is a chance that there will be a significant amount of lag from the time the data is published by the stock exchanges till the time it is reaching your mobile phones. So, by providing direct market access, the market wants to reduce the lag in provision of data, hence the orders can be executed quite quickly. So this kind of a market access is currently only available to institutional investors, but the RBI, it has actually proposed to provide these kind of data also to the companies who will be offering algo trading services, and the retail participants like you and I can also register to use these kind of facilities. Now, to safeguard the kind of data, SEBI has mandated that all algo data orders should be tagged with unique identifier, so that in case of any wrongdoing is happen, by the process of audit, the SEBI will be identifying the culprit. So this kind of facility, although is available to retail investors right now or will be made available, however, there will be some kind of safeguards that all these orders will have a unique identifier. Further, the brokers, in case they want to make any modification into their computer program, they will have to seek approval from the exchanges, which is another kind of a safeguard, so that the traders, they do not make changes when, especially when the retail investors are at risk. And SEBI, for the purpose of provision of algo trading through API, the brokers will be denominated as the principal investors, whereas any algo service provider or a software company that designs the algo will be called as an agent. So these API will be provided to customers like you and I, and however, any modification to the software program or the API will have to be approved by the exchanges themselves. So these are the changes or the requirements that the SEBI has laid in order to protect the interest of retail investors. Understood? Now let us try to solve a very simple practice question. Now consider the following statement. With the use of predefined programs, traders do not need to constantly watch the stock and send the order manually. This is actually a correct statement, because the purpose of algo trading is right now to ease or to automate the process of buying and selling of share. That right now what we are required to do is call the stockbroker directly or put the data into the app manually. However, if we automate the process, the entire process of buying and selling of stock becomes quite cheaper and quite easy to use and automated. So that is why we can quickly buy and sell the stocks by using these kind of algo trading, and hence we can increase the profit and reduce our losses. So first statement is correct. The second statement, the Security Exchange Board of India, it prohibits the use of predefined program to execute trade. This is incorrect, as the SEBI, it actually allows the use of this kind of program. However, this use is significantly regulated so as to protect the interest of investors. Understood? So second statement incorrect, first is correct, and if we read the question carefully, option C here is the right answer, which states statement 1 correct and statement 2 incorrect. So let us move to next article of the day. Now Baga Spinks is asking, how do you achieve consistency, sir? No need. Actually, this is what anyone is expected to do after some point of time, that in case you're working somewhere and in case you're even studying somewhere, you have to be very regular about it, and then only you can expect progress in yourself and the progress in the task that you are doing it. Okay, so I expect the students to do the same when they are attending the lectures, they are doing the revision, they are writing the answers. Please be very regular about it, and you'll see the difference in 1 or 2 months time. Now let us move to the article. This article actually appeared in yesterday's newspaper in the explain section, which was yesterday on 17th page. Now this article actually talks about the extra long staple of cotton, because in her budget speech, Madam Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, she advocated for a 5-year mission to facilitate significant improvements in the productivity and sustainability of common cotton farming and promoting the cultivation of extra long staple of cotton. Now cotton varieties or the cotton, they are classified into various type of cottons based on the length of each brail of cotton. For example, the fiber length, if it is below 21 mm in length, it is called as short staple cotton, and if it is between 25 to 28 millimeter in size or in length, it is categorized as a medium staple cotton. Now this type of medium staple cotton is the majority of cotton that is cultivated in India, as much as 96%, whereas long staple is the one between 29 mm and above, whereas the extra long staple is the one that is more than 30 mm and above. So India is trying to cultivate now this kind of cotton instead of medium staple, because there are many advantages which we'll see in our today's discussion. Now extra long staple of cotton, as I told you, it is a cotton variety where the fiber length of cotton is more than 30 mm. The origin of this kind of cotton actually occurred in the continent of South America, and now these are grown in countries like China, Egypt, Australia and Peru. Now there are many ELS or extra long staple cotton types. These are called Pima, which is cultivated in US, Peru, which is cultivated in Israel, Giza, which is cultivated in Egypt, Suvin and DCH32, this is India specific ELS types, as well as Barakat, which is cultivated in Sudan. So please remember these terms, as they can be asked in a form of question that what do these terms mean as they appeared in news recently. We have seen that kind of questions occurred in prelims quite frequently. Now in India, these extra long staple of cotton, these are grown currently in states such as Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, in Atpadi Taluka, located in Sangli district of Maharashtra, whereas in Coimbatore, which is in Tamil Nadu. Now, why is actually extra long staple of cotton preferred so much? First of all, you have to understand that the fabric which you use or which you manufacture out of extra long staple of cotton, they are premium fabric which are softer, stronger and more durable in nature. Also, these kind of cotton, that is extra long staple of cotton, they are blended with medium staple of cotton to produce premium fabric and also to enhance the quality of textiles. So you can make the textiles entirely out of extra long staple, or you can also blend extra long staple with medium staple so as to make more premium kind of fabrics. So this is how these kind of cottons can be used to make premium products. Now, why is India not growing ELS currently? Because we understood ELS has several kind of benefits, but why is India not cultivating ELS right now? First of all, you have to understand that the yield, or in terms of productivity, the extra long staple of cotton has a low yield as compared to medium staple, whereas medium staple cotton yields are about 10 to 12 quintals per acre, whereas the ELS, they can only yield about 7 to 8 quintals. So despite the fact ELS commands higher MSP, the farmers will be at loss because their productivity will be quite low as compared to medium staple. So in terms of economy wise also, farmers are not that keen to grow the ELS cotton. Also, in terms of market challenges, the farmers, they struggle to sell ELS cotton because first of all, the farmers, they are going to sell the cottons in mandi. There are no direct market linkages which are provided so that the garment or the cotton manufacturers, they can directly purchase the cotton from the farmers, as the farmers, they are forced to sell their products to the APMC and the regulated mandis. So these are the two reasons why Indian farmers, they are not keen on growing ELS type of cotton. Now, how can actually cotton mission, which was announced by Madam Finance Minister, help in this regard? Now, the cotton ecosystem, we understand, in India is currently plagued with two problems. First is low per yield acres, as we told you, and also despite Indian cotton growers using the genetically modified cotton, there are increased instances of pest attack like pink bollworm, which we saw happened in last year. As pink bollworm, it is a form of pest and it affected the GM modified cotton as well. Now currently India's per yield acre of cotton, it is significantly lower as compared to other countries. For example, Brazil, it has an average of 20 quintals per acre, whereas China boasts a yield of 15 quintals, whereas India, the maximum yield that we saw was of medium staple cotton, that was about 12 quintals per acre. Now, with providing better seeds, timely agroeconomic advice and adoption of technology, you can expect Indian farmers to improve their yield and also to grow premium varieties such as ELS cotton. And this is where the cotton mission, which was announced by Madam Finance Minister, can actually help Indian farmers. Understood? Now, let us quickly solve this practice question with consider the following statement regarding the extra long staple of cotton. ELS cotton fibers are longer than 30 mm and are used for high quality textiles. This is a correct statement. India is the largest producer of ELS cotton in the world. This is incorrect. Although India produces, but it is not the largest producer. Tamil Nadu and Maharashtra are among the leading producers of ELS cotton in India. Yes, this is the correct statement, as I already told you. These are grown primarily in Coimbatore of Tamil Nadu as well as in Sangli district of Maharashtra. So first and third are correct, second is not, and we had to identify correct statement. Therefore, option B here, 1 and 3 are the correct option. Now, as I tell you every day, if you want, you can also see this video on our website, the link for which is provided here and also in the description of the YouTube video. Now, the benefits of registering or watching this video on our website are many. First of all, that you will be provided with access to PPT and notes there itself. You also have an option to download this video for offline viewing and also practice your learning with the help of interactive MCQs. Understood? Now, Namaskar Doraemon gamers. Funny name, right? What is your real name, Doraemon? Now, moving to another article. This article actually also appeared in yesterday's newspaper on page 17, that was explain section, and it said that the US administration, which is led by President Trump, it has paused the foreign aid by removing key officials and also cut the funding that the United States government gives to United States Agency for International Development, abbreviated as USAID. So in this regard, let us understand what is this body USAID and how it provides support to various countries, including India. Now, USAID is US's lead international humanitarian development arm, and it is a arm of US government. Now, this body funds NGOs, foreign governments, international organizations, and other agencies related to program of poverty alleviation, food security, education, healthcare, creation of infrastructure, and also building democracy. So you can understand this kind of an agency, it gives US government the power to invest in other countries, and also it is a key diplomatic tool which increases the influence of US government in other countries. So that is why it has helped spread US influence abroad since the time it was formed back in 1951. Now, US aid top recipients in the last financial year was actually Ukraine was the highest recipient of aid, followed by Ethiopia, Jordan, DRC, Congo, as well as Somalia. Understood? So these are the countries which are top recipient of USAID, and India is not in the top 10 recipients of USAID. Please remember that. Now, the origin of or the history of USAID can actually be traced to the origin of Cold War geopolitics, because after the time Cold War ended, US it went into a direct competition with the Soviet Russia, and for that US, to garner influence of other countries during Cold War period, it provided international aid to as a foreign policy tool, primarily to continents or countries located in Europe. And during Cold War, US increased economic, technical, and military aid, which was done in order to counter the influence of Soviet Union. And the first measure through which we understood the US's game plan was through Marshall Plan, which was announced after the World War II period. Now, under Marshall Plan, US provided economic assistance, construction of infrastructure into the war-ravaged Europe continent so as to prevent USSR from gaining its influence in the Western European region. Understood? So actually, this was a contest between USSR and US, which can provide higher aid to the country and garner their influence and bring them into their own sphere of influence. Now, similarly, the US aid, it was created in 1961. It was established by then President US John F. Kennedy, and it was done through Foreign Assistance Act of the US in 1961. Now, initially, the US aid, it focused on preventing communism to influence the countries of Latin America after the Cuban Revolution, which happened in 1959. And under this, the USAID, it launched Alliance for Progress, which was a multi-billion-dollar initiative for Latin American countries if they want to promote the instances of democracy rather than adopting communism. Understood? So this is the origin of USAID. It primarily served as a US policy tool to influence other countries by providing them with technical, humanitarian, as well as economic assistance. Now, let us understand what the role USAID plays in India, because communism was never a question in India, right? So what kind of a role has USAID actually played in India? Now, USAID program, it has evolved actually over time. Earlier, back in 1960s, India was in dire need of wheat. So USAID provided the financing and also the means for India to import wheat from US. And also following that, it provided emergency provisions of food, construction of infrastructure development, as well as capacity building of key Indian institutions and support for opening economy, which happened during the decades of 90s. Also, economic aid from US has also helped India establish 8 agricultural universities, the first IITs, 14 regional engineering colleges, as well as it strengthened India's national program on key healthcare initiatives like preventing AIDS, tuberculosis, polio, as well as measures for family planning, maternal, as well as child health. So, not just infrastructural support, USAID has also offered its expertise and help in India dealing with the matters relating to health and diseases. So this is the kind of impact US aid has helped India. So now that US aid's funding has been cut and its domain has been restricted, you can expect it will have a negative impact on India's ability to govern. Understood? Now let us move to another article. This article actually appeared in yesterday's newspaper, and it told, or it said, that scientists are monitoring asteroids even remotely, or the asteroids which remotely has a chance to strike Earth. So let us understand the context of this article. Now there is this newly discovered asteroid called as 2024 YR4, and there is a probability that there is only a 1% chance that this asteroid might hit Earth in the coming future. So despite that low chance, the scientists, they are now studying the movement of this asteroid. Now this article actually talks about 2024 YR4, which is the newly found asteroid, how much destruction it can cause if it were to strike Earth, and how often does many asteroid crash into Earth. And there are many measures that are taken by space agencies like NASA primarily to tackle or to prevent these asteroids from hitting Earth. So that is the subject of this article, and we'll look into it in our today's discussion. Now the 2024 YR4, it was first discovered in the December last year. Now it was done by a telescope located in Chile, and the near Earth asteroid is as big as a football field, as the length of this asteroid is somewhere between 40 to 100 meters in length. So this is a fairly big asteroid. Now this asteroid, it came closest to Earth on the Christmas day, that is 25th of December, where the distance between Earth and this asteroid was about 8 lakh kilometers, which is about twice the distance between Earth and Moon. So this is the closest that asteroid has been to Earth. Now astronomers, they are using powerful telescope to measure its exact size and the trajectory of this asteroid before it fades into the view of Earth in April 2025. Sorry, this is 2025. Now this asteroid will not be visible again until 2028, and hence the scientists only have a time till April to understand the trajectory and length of this asteroid. So that is why this is in news. Further, what or how much destruction can actually this asteroid cause if it were to hit Earth? Now you have to understand the size of this asteroid is not big as the size of the asteroid that hit Earth and it related or that resulted into the wiping of the entire population of dinosaurs. However, this asteroid still can cause considerable destruction in the Earth if it were to strike, particularly in the populated area. Now the astronomers, they assess the destruction potential of a particular asteroid if it were to hit Earth based on a scale called as Torino scale. Now this Torino scale is a scale between 0 to 10, and actually the scientists have highlighted that the 2024 YR4 has the potential to create destruction, and it has rated it as 3 on the scale of 0 to 10. 10 is the max, 0 is the least. Understood? Now the 2024 YR4, it is expected to release about 8 to 10 megatons of energy if it were to crash on Earth. So to put things in perspective, back in 2013, an asteroid hit a part of Russia and it generated about 500 kilotons of power, which was 8 times more than the Hiroshima atom bomb. Now to put things in perspective, this 2024 YR4 is about half the size of asteroid that hit Russia in 2013. So you understood the impact this kind of an asteroid can happen if it were to hit the Earth. Understood? Now there are many types of asteroids that enter into Earth's atmosphere. Primarily the small asteroids, they enter atmosphere of Earth on a daily basis. However, most of them, due to their interaction with the Earth's atmosphere and because of friction, they burn out entirely into the atmosphere itself. Whereas some large asteroids, they can hit Earth if they are not burned up completely. So those over 1 kilometer in diameter, they strike Earth approximately every 260 million years. So in terms of time scale and the probability, you can understand the kind of a big asteroid, if it were to hit the Earth, the probability is very low. So the solar system also is very big in size. So you can understand the possibility of an asteroid hitting the Earth in this vast solar system is also very rare. Now small asteroids, particularly the asteroids with the size of about 40 meters, if they were to hit Earth at a particular speed and an angle, they can create havoc and wipe out an entire city. So therefore, the space agencies across the world, they are very particular about dealing with such kind of a threats on Earth. And for that, agencies like NASA, they have done their bit. They have actually launched a mission called Double Asteroid Redirection Test, or DART, which was a joint project between NASA and John Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory. And in this mission, the DART spacecraft, it crashed into an asteroid named Dimorphos, and it successfully changed the course and shape of the asteroid. So you can understand NASA now has the capability to strike any asteroid so as to force them out of the way so that it does not hit the Earth. And similar mission now can be undertaken by many other space agencies like ISRO so as to prevent any asteroid from hitting the Earth. Understood? So you do not have to worry. Earth is safe because of its space agencies. One of the important reasons why we should invest in space sector. Aryan Verma, are these classes regular on YT? Yes, they are regular. They go live every day on 10 a.m. So you can actually log in onto the sessions every day at 10, and you be very regular, as I make sure to give you practice questions also, which will help you immensely if you were to give the UPSC exam. So there. Now, moving on to the last article of the day. This article actually appeared in today's newspaper on page 19. Let me have water. Yes. Now this actually article appeared in page 19, and it talks about the fact that India, particularly by the budget's provision, it has said that India is looking to enter into the global manufacturing of small modular reactors. Now there are many reasons why India wants to manufacture small modular reactors, and knowing these reasons quite well, the finance minister has made some kind of an announcement in the budget which is seen as a catalyst so that India can move into the direction. So let us try to understand what are the changes that the finance minister has proposed so as to make India a global power in manufacturing of small modular reactors. Now first, it has been announced that a separate vertical will be created within the Department of Atomic Energy, and the objective of this measure is actually to increase or to foster the private sector participation in the operations and management of nuclear reactors in India. Because you understand, the technologies of developing and manufacturing small modular reactors right now is with the many foreign companies, and these foreign companies, they will be reluctant to get into a joint agreement with a government company. So in case there is a private company in India which is technologically and financially more sustainable, the private companies of foreign countries will rather go into a joint venture with India private sector, and using the technology which will be provided by foreign companies, Indian company can actually adopt the technology and start manufacturing these new lightweight reactors in India itself. So as to promote domestic manufacturing and to encourage private sector participation, the government is looking to create a separate vertical in India's or Union government's Department of Atomic Energy. The second measure is that the government is looking to amend the provisions of Atomic Energy Act 1962. Now this Atomic Energy Act, it currently limits the participation of private sector into the arena of atomic energy, so that these private sector at max they can only do is supply the equipments required for nuclear reactors. But when it comes to operating the nuclear reactors, the sole responsibility right now is vested with the Nuclear Power Corporation of India, and we have seen that the NPCIL has gotten into joint ventures with other PSUs so as to establish and operate a nuclear power plant. So the changes in atomic energy needs to be made so that the private sector now can enter into the nuclear power sector as an operator of the plant itself, and they can operate autonomously any nuclear power plant in India. Now the third measure that the government has proposed actually is to amend the provisions of Nuclear or Civil Liability of Nuclear Damage Act 2010. Now this original legislation, it provided for mechanism for compensating victims from damages due to nuclear accident, and also it allocates liability and specifies procedure how to provide these compensation. Now the impediment that the many companies have faced is actually this law, it puts the liability not just on the operators of nuclear power plant but also the equipment suppliers, and this liability of equipment suppliers is actually prevented the foreign companies from supplying their equipments in India, knowing well that in case, God forbid, any nuclear incident happens, there will be a liability on the supplier companies as well. So as to promote or to do away with the hurdles that it has imposed on investments in India, the government wants to change the provisions of the Civil Liability Nuclear Damages Act. Understood? So these are the three changes or the three policy enablers that the government is looking to make in order to promote the growth and development of small modular reactors in India. Now you have to understand why are this kind of a measure have been taken now, or what are the triggers that have triggered such a move by the government. Now first of all, across the world, many countries, they are looking to scale down on the coal-fired generation power plants, which you understand are very intensive or carbon emitting incentive in nature. So as to reduce the emissions of greenhouse gases, the countries, they are moving away from emission intensive projects like coal power plant, and for that the alternatives are either renewable power sources or the nuclear power. But the renewable power sources, they have some kind of limitation that, for example, if you are generating wind energy will not be generated whenever the speed of wind is low. Or if you're relying on solar power, then the solar power will not be generated during the night time. So this kind of an intermittency issue, it plagues the renewable energy sources. Also, to store large amount of renewable energy, which may be generated at a few amount of time, you need large storage options. So that incurs a lot of cost on the power sector developers. Whereas on the other hand, nuclear energy, it is relatively clean in nature, and it also provides the round to clock supply of power, which constitute or which can constitute as a base load power in the future. So that is why reliance on nuclear power is a way to go when it comes to moving away from the coal based power generation. Also, another factor is the factor of diplomacy, that once India gets or has the technology to develop small modular reactors itself, it can export these kind of small modular reactors to other developing nations also. As these developing nations, they are looking also to move away from coal-fired power plants, and as China is also looking to develop such kind of technologies, so India wants so that it can also deploy its technologies and gather influence of other countries. So another factor is actually the diplomacy. Well, these small sized reactors can be deployed in other countries, which also shows that the India has the ability to manufacture such small reactors effectively and deploy them at scale in other countries. And it can also act as a tool of diplomatic outreach to the global south, that is the developing nations. So these are the two reasons why such a move has been triggered by the government. First is our own domestic energy generation requirements, and the second one is the need to reach or to outreach to the global south. Now let us understand the potential of small modular reactors. Now small modular reactors, these are reactors which have a capacity of 30 to 300 megawatts per unit, and they are increasingly seen as an important component if India wants to increase its reliance on nuclear energy. Also, nuclear energy right now, the bigger projects, although they are very safe in nature, however, to construct these kind of projects, you require a large amount of investment and money. As against these smaller modular reactors, they are very quick to be installed and they are relatively less cost effective or less cost imposing as compared to big plants. So that is why India is pushing for a leadership in development and deployment of these small modular reactors, and it can also act as a foreign policy tool for India to garner or corner the influence of other countries, especially the developing countries. Understood? Now let us try to solve this question. India is aiming to enter global manufacturing value chain of small modular reactors with key institutional and policy enablers. Discuss the significance of SMR in India's clean energy transition and diplomacy efforts. So the answer will be started by an introduction, and you will say that the small modular reactors are the reactors that generate about 30 to 300 megawatt electric powers. So this is how you will define the small modular reactor, and you can also say these are very cost effective as compared to the large scale nuclear power project. So this is how you will start your answer. Now the body of your answer will consist of three parts. First question, it states key institutional and policy enablers. So you will highlight the changes that have been suggested by the union government, that is separate vertical in Department of Atomic Energy, changes in Atomic Energy Act of the year 1962, and changes in Civil Nuclear Liability Act of the year 2010. So these are the three changes that have been highlighted by the government. And you will also realize or highlight the significance of SMR in India's energy transition, that India wants to move away from coal-based power plants, and also India wants to increase its outreach to the nations of Global South. Now, Global South nations are actually called as developing countries. So, this is how you will segregate your body into two parts. First three will be the key institutional and policy enables, and the second part will be the outreach or the significance of such a move. Then you will conclude your answer, and for the best conclusion, please use these kind of statement. India is pushing for leadership slot in the small reactor space, both as a way of fulfilling its commitment to clean energy transition and bundling SMR as a technology-led foreign policy pitch. So this serves ideally as your conclusion, and this is a very well written line in today's newspaper. Understood? So that is how you use the knowledge given in the newspaper to improve your answer writing, but you do not entirely write what the article states. You says or you present it as you're writing in your own words, right? So please make sure to write these kind of answers, and please make sure to be very regular in your answer writing, as you believe me when I'm saying it. If you do this daily, you'll be easily able to clear the mains examination. And if you have any problem or if you want to get your answers evaluated, please use this Telegram channel to post your answers, and I will be more than happy to evaluate your answers. Now, before ending today's session, this is the homework for today, and I will be taking up this question before the start of tomorrow's session. So this was all from my side for today's discussion. Please stay tuned to our YouTube channel, as an event will be going live at 2 p.m. at 2 p.m. today, and it will be very important if you were to prepare for 2026 or 2027 exam. I will see you again tomorrow at 10 a.m. sharp. Until then, keep reading, keep revising, and more importantly, keep writing the answers that I tell you every day.